Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. This fine young lady that is on today's podcast. Oh, I forgot. Join the Patreon. I'm just going to say that every time. Thanks for listening to the podcast, or join my Instagram at Rontowski. All comedy dates will be up there, and probably by now, because this is coming out in June, I'm taping a little earlier, or July. It's either June or July, but it's not 4th of July. No show 4th of July. I'm living on the road now, making funny, haunted, nomad, paranormal videos. So go watch them. They're on my Instagram. They're on my TikTok. I think TikTok's going away. Join my email, whatever. You all know. So today, last year, I met Tracy St. Croi. Croi like the island without an X, right, Tracy?
That's right.
And we had such a good time. And then I just did her podcast, which is wonderful. Tracy, tell me the name of your podcast. How it's ghost hunting. Tell me it.
It's Haunted Road Trips show, and your episode is going to be appearing here very shortly after we reorganize some producers and all that kind of jazz.
Great. And I loved it because literally what I am, well, I'm doing a humorous thing more so than a haunted thing, but there is a haunted thing in there too. And we got talking about haunted places, and so I am in upstate New York, which I know I'm going to jump right in. And Tracy's a great medium, everything. I didn't even give you an introduction. I always just assume people know. You're a psychic, you're a medium, you're a podcaster, and you're really fun. How's that? Is that did I cover everything?
That is, yes, that's fantastic.
Okay. And I had so much fun on your podcast, and we were talking about haunted places, which, by the way, I kind of have a blast on haunted TikTok. Do you watch that sometimes?
I do. It depends if I want to feel better or if I want to get like creative ideas.
Uh-huh.
It's the place to go, because it's like, sometimes I'm like, well, at least I'm not that gullible, or I'm like, oh, I never thought about doing something that way. Yeah. Like haunted TikTok. Yeah. That's entertainment.
It is. And you know what else? I feel like those of us, and I say this because I know sometimes in the, so we say the paranormal metaphysical community, I get very nervous when everyone is sure of themselves. This is true and this is not. I'm always the first one to go, this is how I feel. This is what I know. This has been my experience, but I'm not going to tell you exactly this is it. And it makes me nervous, but I feel like because a sort of our industry has been made fun of for so long that's sort of the defensive-ness that comes up. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. But then I look at some people and I'm like, well, look at the examples we've given the public. Like, of course we're laughing freaking stocks. Look at what they've been feeding the public.
Well, you know what though? And we could say that about any industry. But I feel like people are going to have to start turning our way or intuition way, because now with AI, there's going to be no way anymore to tell what's real or what's not. Don't you think?
It is. It's going to get like a lot of blurred lines. And so it's really going to like push people to start to trust that inner voice, that higher self, that higher power, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
You're really going to have to tune into your own truth.
Yeah, I feel like some of those, sometimes I'll see something on there that I know is a fake, but I'll be like, well, at least they did their research. They knew it would look like that if it was to happen, you know?
Yes, I do. Honestly, I'm a user of haunted TikTok, and I just use it to find like super cool locations that I would love to go to in the future. And like, and I learn a lot about like what I don't want to do as well. Like, no, like I don't need to sit in the dark, dusty, dank basement to talk to a spirit. Like, no. we're not doing that. like, like they can come up to the kitchen and have a cup of coffee with me. How about that?
That's funny because sometimes I think people still do that. I don't do that as much anymore. Every once in a while, somebody will call me about a location that's so cool. I'll just go. But yeah, people don't realize sometimes it is like you're a medium, but for other people, it's a lot of sitting around. I remember one time my friend telling me about they had to tuck their pants into their socks because there were so many roaches where they were going. Roaches crawled up their legs. And
Ew.
right? I'm not that ambitious.
Well, yeah, I'm like, next.
It does.
Like,
It does. I will say this though. Every once in a while, a dark room can add to the mood and the ambiance, and it can be fun.
oh, Karen, a red light does wonders for a dark room.
Yes. So, what have you picked out from your series or wherever you've been? What is? I'm going to do three different things here.
Okay.
I'm going to start out with the most interesting haunting, like something that, oh, I never saw that coming, or that story was so good. Where would you, any ideas on that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I can only talk about this in broad strokes because it hasn't come out yet. It's a part of the streaming TV show that I'm filming. And I was invited to go to this kind of local old cemetery here. And I was like, okay, let's go. Let's just go check it out. Right. Because I dig cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
And it was taking me to this other cemetery that I knew was up the road, but I was kind of unfamiliar with the area. And I'm texting my friend who I'm going with, and I'm like, WTF, keeps taking me here. And she comes and gets me and she goes, I know why it keeps putting you here. And she goes, but I'm not going to tell you until we're done in the cemetery. And I said, okay. So we pull into the cemetery and everybody always does this to me as a medium in the car. Where are the dead people? Right? Like, go to the right. And I've never been to this cemetery. Sure enough, we pull up to the right and there's a older pioneer cemetery there. Like, I'm talking like hand carved tombstones, old in there. And so, of course, we start to kind of feel around and do our investigation and everything. And we've going back there a couple more times just to get some confirmation and some other type of, evidence for people. And it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Well, and the second and the third time that I went there with the GPS, it kept bringing me to this same darn cemetery before the main one. And finally, I asked Mr. Taylor, I said, what is going on here? GPS is never this bad. She goes, I didn't tell you. And she said, I knew you were supposed to come here because some of these graves have been pulled up and moved to that cemetery you were just pulled to constantly.
Oh, no. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. And so she was like, and that's how I knew. She goes, and I knew that we were supposed to be here when Spirit kept pulling you by the GPS to go to this other cemetery.
Wow. Now, this leaves just a whole bunch of questions and discussions I love about cemeteries. I did a funny haunted one in Boca Raton where they had moved the cemetery like 3 times. Like it was like, it was that's comical. When you can get something that's that odd out, I can really make jokes about it. Do you think the spirits were just at the old cemetery, or were they upset about the move, or they don't know, don't care?
I remember that video and it's absolutely hilarious. If you guys go check it out on TikTok, because I did stitch it.
Oh, thank you.
And I really, honestly, I feel like they were like, hey, don't forget we're over here too and investigate this place as well.
So they weren't really upset.
No, they weren't. And through our first couple kind of like minor investigations there, like we didn't get any type of like angry or we've been moved or we've been disturbed type of thing. It's more like, no, we're here and we're there at the same time. And, I have a theory, right? And we were talking about this, Karen. Let me throw this at the wall and see if it sticks for you.
Okay.
Okay. I have a theory that that if we, in accordance to having multiple lives, so if we've had multiple lives, I believe that we have one soul but multiple spirits, that at this point in time, we could have multiple of our past lives spirits haunting different places in the world right now.
Totally agree.
We can be alive and we can be haunting somewhere in our old lives at the same time.
Totally agree. I once did ayahuasca, and they big surprise, right? And the divine spirit showed me 3 people, and she said, "This is you." And I said, "Oh, these are my past lives." And she said, "No, this is you now." And I said, "Oh, what?" I said, and she goes, she was kind of like, "Never mind." And what I kind of got from it was that I am 3 different people on this planet right now.
Wow.
And then if you watch Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme, it says you can't have the same matter in the same area. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what it says.
Right.
I don't know what he's talking about. But I wonder if you ever get to meet yourself sometimes.
And we went on to kind of joke around. I was like, and how interesting would that be for you to go and investigate a haunting where the spirit of you is there?
Yes.
From a past life. And by the way, Mama Ayahuasca will always give you what you need, because I'm a huge proponent in plant medicines and psychedelics helping as a part of a treatment plan to help people heal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm over it.
Yeah, I love the right now I'm doing something where I'm resetting my nervous system, so I'm kind of not doing anything. But I feel like Mama Ayahuasca knows, because when we were doing our intentions once before, this was a different time I did it, and I said, I really want to see the Matrix, right? And then halfway through the trip, I kind of hear, you don't really want to, you really think you're ready to see the Matrix? And I was like, yeah, let's skip it this time.
Oh yeah. I mean, ayahuasca and, mushrooms and, all of it will really show you the truth. Like, I truly had that experience where it was like everything everywhere all at once. Like, I was in like 10 different places all at once, all across like different points and dimensions. And it was freaking awesome.
Do you think that ayahuasca or these kind of things take us to a different dimension or activate a part of our brain that allows us to see what we can see?
I believe it activates a part of our brain that allows us to see. And in the simplest explanation that I give people on it is, because I'm not really good with the brain science. Somebody else can explain that a lot more, who's a lot more educated in that than I am. But I tell people, look, it's like night medicine for your ego. And so what psychedelics do is they kind of put the ego that says, I'm fearful, I'm full of this is going to bad happen, da 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 da. It kind of gives it a night medicine, and then it energizes your inner spirit, your soul, that can talk, travel, interact, see things from a higher perspective, see your own divine truth, your own love, be able to heal from that higher perspective without the ego being, in there kind of trying to sabotage us. Because even though the ego is there to protect us in many, many ways, and also sabotage us and do what it does sometimes.
Yeah, and not. I feel like I know I have a huge ego. So, anyways, but I know that when I am not doing something or not taking a risk, that's the big one that I feel like the ego's like, don't look silly, don't do that, and risk taking is what we should all be doing.
Yep. And I agree with that. And when I said, when I said yes to you having a big ego, I meant, yes, I understand the concept, because I have my ego thinks it's large and in charge sometimes as well.
No, don't worry. I didn't take it like you were like, yeah, Karen, really, I know. You know what's
No,
funny?
but I tell people a lot too. And I had an experience with ayahuasca in Costa Rica at this resort called Rhythmia, where literally like I stepped on the property and I knew, I was like, oh my God, aliens are watching us, like extraterrestrials are here. And all week long during my trips and my journeys, I had experiences with them, so much so that I have a huge tattoo of it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it made a very, very profound shift in my perspective about myself, what's possible, where I came from, helping me kind of right size my ego as well and allow my spirit to shine.
I'm on their email list. I think I'm going to go someday. It's funny. I have to say this, and it might be you or it might be me. It's probably me, but I did feel, because you were great on my podcast last time, but there was a shift when I talked to you this time, and I was like, oh, this person is like I felt like I could connect and become great friends with you. And not that I don't think that was on the table last time. I was like, oh, this is a great show, a great interview, a great medium. But something flipped over, and I think it was me because I was having such a hard time with my folks. But I wonder if that transformation kind of happened. Because this second time when I talked to you when we did your show, I felt like we had been friends forever.
Aww. Thank you. Oh my God, that touches my heart.
Maybe you're like, I didn't feel it. But it was like, oh, yeah. I know this person. I love and respect this person. I don't know what it is. Anyways, that's my...
I will take it. And I adore people that are in their industry, and especially women in this industry who are staying authentic and true to who they are and doing the work that they find is of service to the community, and that they're having fun and they're helping other people. And I'm very attracted to that type of like, well, let's go get some shit done. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, we can sit and imagine, whatever all day long, but, somebody's got to push buttons. And I admire women who are like that.
Yeah. I'll just throw this in, and then because we're almost to the end of this segment and it'll keep me from talking about it for an hour, but I really hope you get that TV show, because I am so sick of the broy bro. People do not get the sexism in TV and in this industry, which, by the way, is more like 70 to 80% women, but they give all the TV shows to the men. So I hope that you crash that glass ceiling or whatever it is.
That is a part of my mission. And if there is a company out there, shameless plug, who would like to sponsor the show and help us get up and running quicker, go ahead and contact me. I'm open to conversations.
Yes, and you know what? If for some reason you do it through a GoFundMe,
and then Karen can come on the show, y'all.
Then I'll be on the show. I'll put on makeup. And if you do a GoFundMe or something, or you want to put an ad on this show, feel free, because I always support my friends. I say that as I'm drinking out of my beautiful coffee cup from LaGuardia Clayworks. How about that, folks? Hey. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm an energy healer. In a session, I use intuition and conversation to help people remove blocks and allow healing of all kinds to happen. I help people with things like relationships, making sense of their awakening process, or beginning to heal a chronic illness. My favorite thing to do is help people remember who they are. I also do intuitive nutritional counseling, which combines my experience as a nutritional therapy practitioner with my intuition to help you heal your energy related to food. I do sessions over the phone or on Zoom. If you go to my website and feel a little buzz of resonance, I know a session will be beneficial. Check it out by going to regenerativelife.farm.com and click on the Energy Healing tab, because I'm also a regenerative farmer. That's regenerativelife.farm.com/energy-healing. Remember who you are.
Okay, so I feel like you are Are you aligned that this is a real toss-up, especially whenever I talk to mediums, that there are dark and nasty spirits out there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I talked to so many mediums that are like, nope. And I'm like, really? What is the worst haunting where you were like, not afraid, but like, ugh, I don't, because I'll tell you, really interesting. My GPS would not take me to the Manson house. You know, the house where Sharon and all my friends were there. And I was looking at, I go, this is what I'm seeing on the road. And and my friend was like, yes, I know what you're looking at. I'm in the road. Do you see me? And I was like, no, this was up in Hollywood Hills, but I don't think it was the house. I think it was something else. And I think I know what it is, but I'm not going to say it so no one gets mad at me. But I think I wasn't supposed to be there. So what is your like, or that was yucky or whatever worst kind of haunting story?
There's a couple of them. And what it comes down to is like sometimes spirits can act like total jerks, right? But there's ways to manage that. They're human and they might be just expressing the anger that they couldn't. We could have a long conversation about that. But I do believe that our guides and spirit will protect us sometimes in lieu of our will wanting something.
Mm-hmm.
And I have I've been to some places where I'm like, yeah, I'm not sticking around here very long. Like there is something here that is really trying to lure me in. And I can tell you, I went to New Orleans last year and I love New Orleans. Don't get me wrong. This is not, poo-poo on New Orleans at all. But the hotel that and of course I picked it out, right?
It spoke to you, right?
It did speak to me, and and I think I'll end up going back. But anyway, the room that we were in, when the guy was like, yeah, he was like, your room's back there on that L shaped over there. And I looked and I was like, oh, fuck, that's fucking morgue.
Oh.
And I came back later and I asked the guy and I go, that building's not a part of this original hotel. This was added on. And he goes, yeah. And I said, that was a military something at one point. And he goes, uh-huh. And he goes, kind of looked at me real strange. And I said, and the room we're in, I said, was that perhaps like a surgery center or a morgue or something at one point? And he's like, uh-huh. And I'm like, yeah. So I had a horrible time trying to sleep there. That was like the worst times that I've ever had trying to fall asleep in a place because it was so active. And it finally, it took some weird things because I was there with a friend of mine. And finally I told my friend and I said, look, dude, I'm going to sit next to you for a minute. I'm going to kind of confuse the spirits a bit and who you and I are. And sure enough, they kind of left me alone when they thought a man had entered the room.
Oh, okay. So, in other words, there was this chaos of like soldiers or somebody, or almost like, why is a woman in here?
Yep. What did she say? And they were just trying to like mess with me, and I could tell. And I was like, doing all the things that I usually do about like, shoo, go away. Like I'm in my human time. I paid for this room. Kick rocks, whatever, calling in my prayers. And I'm like, okay, and there was a lesson for me to learn there from spirit as well. Like, sometimes the things that are in your toolkit aren't going to work where you're at. You need to come up with something new. You need to adapt to the environment you're in.
That's interesting. And I think that I feel like that problem is worse now than before. And I think it's funny because I feel like I just saw a TikTok about New Orleans, and it was a young woman, and she was saying a lot of people come here and they don't know. They don't know that it's she wasn't even talking about ghost hunters. She was talking about people that come there and something follows them home, or they think they're buying something cute in a voodoo shop. It's a pretty interesting playground, isn't it?
It is a very interesting playground. And I knew as a medium going there, like literally the streets watch you, right? And as a medium, you're going to be more aware of it, whether I interact with it or not. That's another thing. But, I was very much well aware of what was going on those streets, what the buildings had been before it was whatever business was in there. Now we went on a haunted ghost tour, and there was, and I won't ruin the whole entire story. If anybody wants to see it, they can go watch my Halloween episode on Haunted Road Trip Show, and they can get the whole story. Because when I heard that story, and I'm staying in this, I'm staying in this place where I'm having to manage spirits at, I was like, oh my God. Because it was a story about a young couple who was framed to be the it couple. Oh my God, look, they made it through Katrina and they're so fabulous and they rode the hurricane out. And that's not exactly what happened.
Oh God. Okay, I want you to leave that cliffhanger because I'm going to go watch that right now. Or do you want to tell us a little more? I think it's a good cliffhanger.
You can watch it. I will warn people, do not eat or drink anything.
Okay. All right.
That's all I'm going to say, or don't plan to eat or drink right afterwards.
Okay. And this podcast is on Apple Podcasts. They can find it there.
It's on Apple. You can go and watch it on YouTube because that story stuck with me. That male spirit was hanging around me for a little while that I was like, no, bro, wrong woman, wrong move.
Wow. Do you think like that hurricane? So first of all, there's hurricanes, but what happened with that hurricane and the people in the stadium and the awfulness, like that really left a cloud over New Orleans. I mean, worse than like the economy didn't bounce back, or it like really left kind of a nasty cloud over there, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, our tour guide was absolutely wonderful and talked about that, about how, New Orleans is already like a swamp built on a graveyard from things being destroyed by floods, wars, and famine. Everywhere you step is pretty much potentially on somebody's grave in that city. And then you add in such a catastrophe event like Katrina, and that just brings in a whole other mess of energies into that city.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I feel a little bit like that about upstate New York without the hurricane, like kind of like this place could erupt very easily into something negative, which is weird because today they just had a earthquake in New York City.
I just saw that. And, I really have a theory about the upstate New York thing. And I think it has connections to deal with a lot of the mafia activity that was going on. And a lot of the backdoor dealings between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. And yeah.
Yes. And the mafia stuff is still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that ever goes away. I don't think it does.
I don't think it ever goes away. I think it just gets rebranded. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to interact with it. I'll read about it and watch movies, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, it's fine. I think I might say I'm living under a little protection right now, but I just paid my rent and everything's okay.
There you go.
Yes. So I mind my own business. I don't want to, that's how it is. Now, you love cemeteries. Some people will say cemeteries are not haunted, but I figure they almost always are, even if it's just because the amount of sorrow that is there. Do you think people like it, that one cemetery you were talking about where that was moving, that might have even been like that was our backyard and we buried our family there kind of thing, but you feel like they're mostly haunted?
I feel like this was cemeteries, right? And I feel like when we go to the spirit world, we might not hang out at the cemetery all that often, right? Mm-hmm. But if we have attachments there to other people that are there, or we like to go there when somebody's there visiting or curious about it, sure, they're going to pop in, right? Mm-hmm. but I find cemeteries to be more peaceful orientated and more of like sacred ground than I do like, oh, I don't like this in here, or, like, ugh, like on my, on my toes type of energy.
Right.
It's more like when I go into a cemetery, it's more like, hi, I'm, honoring the place and like, let's have a conversation. Let's see what wants to talk with me here, because I look at it this way. Like when I go into an investigation, I'm going on somebody else's house and territory. So I've got to be mindful.
I was just having this talk with someone else, and I think there are like so being we know what we know. Let's put it this way. I know Bobby Mackey's in Kentucky. I know I'm not supposed to go there because I've had several attempts stopped. And I also think that I could, push that over and be like, I'm going to have a good time. Because Bobby Mackey's is really the ultimate Indian grounds. I don't know if there's a skinwalker there, but there's something awful that has been documented forever. I'll use the word demon because that's what everybody else is using. And I feel like I've had enough warnings. If people are just going to have a good time, it might be fine. But if somebody like me that knows goes in, there's almost this, oh, really? You think you're going to get away with this? Or do you know what I mean? Like, does that make any sense?
100%. Like, we told you not to touch the stove.
Yes. You want to see something? We're going to show you something kind of energy.
Exactly. Like, we're really trying to protect you from a trauma, from something that could cause you harm in some kind of way. And it doesn't necessarily mean, folks out there, like something would attack you or touch you or whatever, but just being there could be very traumatic. Who knows? You could be protected because along the way, something could happen. We don't know.
Yeah. They have a disclaimer.
When my guides and things like that, when they are stopping and blocking me from going somewhere or doing something, I might not ever know the reason, but I'm kind of like, you know what, whatever that is was, their rejection is my protection.
Yes. And I know they've had enough problems with people being shoved downstairs that no one was there to shove them down the stairs. Or there's video of people being kicked from under their feet on the dance floor. Like there's something there. But I also feel like for somebody that's just looking for a night out, they might not get bothered. But somebody like you or me, where we're sort of on their spectrum a little bit, it could be more dangerous. Does that?
Yes. Yeah. I totally get that, because like even when I go places here in Austin that are notoriously haunted, or I can feel have activities there, I have to be more aware, like, hey, I'm just here having a good time with my friends. I'm here to do some line dancing and eat some good food, and just be mindful that once again, I'm on their territory.
Did you see the videos about all right, I try not to ever, I hope this isn't talking bad about him, but I really think, and you don't have to comment either way, but Zach Bagans, which by the way, that's still a decent show, but he's got some stuff following him. And when they do shows on his, like, I think his haunted museum, a friend of mine was like, I will never speak to you again if you go there, because it's really quite haunted. Have you seen the videos of what's going on when people are just walking through?
Yes. And I do believe I heard along the way somewhere, can't remember where, but I think you have to sign a waiver to get into that place, right?
Yep.
And I'm not sure exactly what's in the waiver, but it and I'm paraphrasing and I'm trying to remember a very old conversation, but it was basically like, if you get hit, punched, touched, cursed, something goes home with you, it ain't our problem.
Basically. Yeah. And when you see,
I'm like, no, I'm not. No, like, I'll watch that on videos and TikTok, sir. Like, sometimes you don't have to go there to have that experience, right? And it's clear and obvious that location is very, very paranormally active, and it's not somewhere I would they don't need one more voice in the echo chamber going, yeah, that is totally haunted. No. And I don't, yeah, he has a very popular TV show, but
that doesn't mean anything.
That don't mean shit.
Yeah.
I have feelings, Karen. That's all I have to say. I have words.
I know. I hate to diss on anybody. In fact, it was weird because I even feel bad. There's this poor girl that is doing some like metaphysical rapping, and the whole place is just piling on making fun of her. And it kind of bums me out because it's like, hey, somebody's trying something new. And it's just, you know what I mean? You know when they pile on with the hate? I don't know. I'm off on it.
I think that would be pretty cool. Like she's doing something that connects her to connect with spirit and connect with that vibration to connect with spirit. Like, are her words harmful or dangerous?
No. And it's, you know what it is? This is a thing that's not really a paranormal thing, but I get really upset with the piling on, which it's really, and I know you've probably seen this on TikTok, and I'll go to it like a different example, but for some reason, somebody made it up and went on TikTok and was like, asking a spiritual advisor 10 things she'd never do. I would never leave a welcome mat out because that's telling demons they're welcome to come in your house. And I was like, what? And then you see 100 videos. I would never leave and it was like, what do you do? You know what I mean? It was like something stupid like that. And then there was one where they were like, this dumb white girl, this thing is at her back door, stupid white girl, don't let that in. And then you watch the video, and the video was not her letting anything in her house. And it was an art exhibit from a wax museum of a goat. And she took a video of the goat and said, oh, how cute. And all these people were like, dumb white girl. You didn't even see if she was white. Dumb white girl, don't let that in your house. People are saging their screens. And I was like, oh my God, this is why, right? Like it's piling on.
This is group pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, and I would go on the other side of the welcome mat thing. And I'm like, well, what if the intention with the welcome mat is to welcome prosperity, good health, abundance, wealth, and,
right.
All the good things in life.
Yeah, it's weird how someone makes something up and then the rest of them repeat it like they are the first to say it. I don't know. I guess that's mankind. But this other girl that I was talking about that's doing the rap, at least she's out on the skinny branches trying something new. God forbid someone should do something different,
Well, exactly. And that's what, any type of metaphysician, no matter what you are, that's what we're doing. That's what we're meant to do, is we are meant to push our own boundaries of consciousness.
Yeah.
We are meant to question our own whys and see if there's a new truth out there for us. We are meant to be creative and to play and to experiment. That's what this is about. And sometimes it works out glorious and sometimes it's like, but we're there to learn how to, communicate. How would we have figured out that we can get EMFs unless somebody tried it?
And was called stupid for doing it.
And was called stupid and silly and all this. So I applaud her. I'm like, look, if it works for you, like, shoo, go away, all the haters.
Yeah. Or scroll by. When did that not become an option?
Oh my God, that's a new saying. I need you to scroll off right now.
Yes, because it's like, I need to straighten this out. No, you don't. Now, I don't know. We're making some people famous through, I hate, that's why I haven't really, I don't think I know how to stitch, but I don't want to stitch and make somebody feel bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's not what there's a difference between educating and disempower.
Yes, thank you. Have you ever written a book?
I like to listen to books. Reading books makes me so tired.
I know I won't read either, but I have to say, I know there's certain people I talk to, and I was like, you are really great with words. Like, I'm a good with stories, but people are great with words. You're really making some. It's almost like you're making my thoughts better by the way you're saying them. So,
I have had, that is a part of my zone of genius. I have noticed, like, for some reason, words and phrases, I've always been able to connect them very well for other people to understand. I don't know.
That makes
Like,
perfect.
I'm not like Harvard or anything, darling.
Exactly.
I'm Arthur Findlay. That's where I am. Arthur Findlay College of Psychic Sciences. Take that, Harvard.
All right, folks, we'll be right back.
Discover Moon Mama Shop, an inspiring metaphysical enterprise rooted in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Founded by Kenzie, a gifted 5/1 projector in human design, this burgeoning business is a testament to her innate ability to read people. Specializing in Reiki, tarot, and oracle readings, Kenzie brings profound insight and healing to her clients. Certified in Holy Fire Reiki 1 and 2, Kenzie is on her journey towards mastering this transformative practice. Whether you're in Grand Rapids or beyond, experience the soothing energy of her home studio for in-person sessions, or opt for virtual sessions for the same immersive experience from the comfort of your own home. Kenzie's approach is deeply trauma-informed, drawing from her own healing journey to create a safe space for others to release energy blockages and realign their chakras. Each session includes a personalized written report detailing her findings and intuitive messages received. For those seeking guidance through tarot or oracle readings, Kenzie offers convenient email consultations, allowing you to revisit the messages over time. Explore her offerings and pricing at moonmamashop.com and stay connected on Instagram and TikTok at moonmamashop.
So I love that you mentioned Arthur Findlay trained or psychic school or whatever. And I want to throw this in real quick because I had sometimes people will come up against me on this being fake, but I did a few classes at the Rhine Institute. And did you know that Duke University used to offer parapsychology as a major?
I did not.
Yeah, it's a minor now. You can get a minor in parapsychology, but it used to be a major, and it's all scientifically based. And I can't seem to get him on the podcast, but my professor's name was Lloyd Arbach. And if you ever want evidence of the paranormal, and I mean they did it in a lab, they figured it out, that is the Rhine Institute. But I'm fascinated. Tell me about the Arthur Findlay School, or tell me about how you did that, what happened. I'm so curious.
Okay. So Arthur Findlay College of Psychic Sciences, it is just north of London in a town called Stansted. And it is the true and one and only Hogwarts. It is a castle that is and develops mediums, psychic work, healers, i.e. metaphysicians of all sorts there. It is run by the Spiritualist Church, which, as we know, brought over the spiritualist kind of revolution in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it was originally built by a man named Findlay, obviously Arthur Findlay. And he built it very, very purposefully there. And he was really into astrology and astronomy. And I can't remember all the details, but it was like he had 12 fireplaces, like everything that would represent like 52 weeks, 12 months, 4 of this, 365 of this. Like it's very calculated how he built it, the directions he built it in, and what he built within it. And I was at a point where I was taking, some classes here in Austin, and my mediumship was coming about, and I was like, I really want to study, but I want to study somewhere that it's kind of like cream of the crop, that I can really, really trust these people from where they're coming from. And as soon as I asked that, synchronicity started kicking in. I, started to learn about John Holland popped in my lap, and then he mentioned going to Arthur Finley, and I was like, what is this? And yeah, Googled it and then said like, okay, these are the folks that I want to train with. And through some synchronicity and a lot of smart work and saving up money, I was able to go there continuously many times to go and take classes in specifically in mediumship development, trance mediumship, you know, all types of courses. So you go there, you stay there, you live on the grounds, you have your own little dorm room. They feed you. You have a little village you can walk to in the morning to get coffee. They have they have like a discotheque there at night. And so it's very, very haunted. I've had many different paranormal experiences there. I even had an experience where I stepped back in time there accidentally. I stepped through a portal. I was like, whoopsie.
Now, when that happens and you're there, obviously you're not afraid to tell people. And do they always go, yep, we knew it was there?
Oh, yeah. No, I went running, girl. I was like, the way that Arthur Finley is built, it's very intricate. It's almost like they have these moving staircases, like in the Harry Potter movies. And I was going up this set of stairs, and it was kind of like a tiered set of stairs going up. And I was called to it. And the further that I started going up these steps, I kept feeling like, you're not supposed to be here.
Mm.
And I remember I got up to the final top step, and all of a sudden I was in surrounded, like I was in like a World War I surgery suite. It was not a good scene. And I remember this doctor turned and he looked at me and he was like, you don't belong here. And I was like, oh, snap. And I just remember I snapped back into our reality, and I took a few moments to figure out. I was like, what in the fooby dooby? And I collected myself. And sure enough, as soon as I could go to my teacher who was teaching the class, I was like, so this is what had happened. And he's like, I believe this was a war hospital in World War I and World War II. This has been used as a lot of different facilities. So he was like, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Now, when the guy said, you don't belong here, did you get the feeling he was talking about he saw someone come in that didn't have a mask on and wasn't dressed to be there? Like he really saw you as a full body apparition, or he knew he was sort of in the woo-woo world and was like, whoops, not your dimension?
I think a little bit of both. I think I wasn't the first person to have done that accidentally. And I feel like whoever he was had a very good understanding of energy to sense something else had entered that room. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it wasn't like I didn't belong there at Arthur Finley. It was more like, you don't have a place in this room on what's going on in this time and in this dimension. You don't belong in this dimension. You belong else.
So he had more of a knowledge than just he was a surgeon doing his thing.
Yeah, it was very, very clear. Like when I look back at it and I'm like, oh, he, I wasn't the first to do this. And he had a very good sense of and it was very much like, you go, let us take care of our business. You go take care of yours.
Wow. So, and I'd imagine this is a little bit expensive, but worth it, correct?
Oh my God. Yes. And I was, here's the thing is that, I'm never going to tell anybody how to spend their money. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go there, you live and stay there. So it's not like you have to find lodging somewhere else or food somewhere else. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's all taken care of. You get off the plane and you're ready.
Yeah. You get off the plane, depending on where you fly into, and you got to, get, on a train or tube or whatever to get to the school. But once you get to the school, you're stationary there for however long your class is going to be. You're fed and sheltered there.
So
Now, cost of getting there.
Right. That's your thing. But it's so immersive. Is this like for a week? Is it for a weekend? What is it?
They have different classes there. Some are longer than others. But the classes that I would take are typically like a week or more. And you are just, and John Holland calls it spiritual boot camp. And he was not kidding, because like the British, they do not play around.
No, they don't.
With their training. They don't. Like literally, I remember one time when I went there for a platform mediumship class, and I remember they put you in these rooms and they kind of interview you a little bit and see what your experience is so they can divide you up between teachers, right? And so they did that. And sure enough, within like 5 minutes, I was looking at this girl who's, we're just getting to know each other. And I was like, she's about to call my name. I got to get up there. And sure enough, it was Miss St. Croix, you're up. Like, and we hadn't even been at the school like 2 hours. So it's like 12-hour days. You're training, you're developing, they give you plenty of breaks and everything like that. Don't get me wrong, but it's go time.
Yeah, well, that's how they are about their actors too. That's why their actors are so much better than ours, because they don't fool around, and they don't care what you look like. Are you good or not?
They don't, and they don't throw any punches either. They're not like they're not the coddling type, which I appreciate, right? Like if I'm doing something egregious, I need to know about that, right? Like Don't tell me a metaphor and hope I go meditate on it and figure it out. Like straight up tell me, like, don't do that anymore. That's bad habits, because of it leads to A, B, and C.
Right. Wow. It sounds like you're not even. I know, like if I go to a paranormal convention or even when I go to the alien summer camp, when you're around that many magical people, sometimes it's hard to stay grounded anyways, because it's like that world becomes like that like you said, like you stepped into a portal. Yeah, of course that happened there. There was so much magical kind of wild energy. You must be exhausted when you're done.
You can be quite, you need to discharge energy for sure. And that's why in the mornings, I would get up a lot earlier and I would walk down to the village and get coffee so I could ground myself and I could do some exercises and I could, feel the earth and get back into my body. But afterwards, I always said, like, look, I traveled, all the way over here. I usually would stay an extra week or so and, go to different cities around Europe, because why not?
Right. If you're going to fly over there. It's funny. Somebody called me about doing comedy at a vegan festival there. And I thought, it's for 2025. So you're making me think like, maybe everything's a write-off then.
Yeah, everything's a write-off. And, I was still running a business at that time. So I could still do calls via Zoom and do all my things that I needed to do. And I just wrote whatever I could legally write off, right off.
I know probably building a career, it shouldn't really enter that you need to write things off for your schooling. But my mind always goes to, my whole life is, can I write that off? Probably the English would be like, just learn what you're learning. So if you go there as a beginning medium, when you walk out, when you go home, are you a workable medium? Or I feel like that is someplace where there's a gray area. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to do it. By the way, if anyone's learning something, you could join my Patreon and we have a safe place for everybody to learn. But like do you walk out ready to roll, or sometimes, or you just know a lot?
It kind of depends on the class that you took and the level that you were already at coming in. So for instance, if you were just going to take beginner mediumship development or development as a psychic, they would work with you and, and I can't say exactly what they would say, but I tell my students, please do not mistake this that you can go out and read for the public now, because you are not equipped.
Got it. Okay. That's
I
kind of
would
what I
say,
was asking. Yeah.
yeah. Like for me, I'm like, you guys are good. Let's get this circle going where we can practice on each other. If you want to practice on family and friends that are understanding that you're a beginner
Mm-hmm.
and this, then fine. Don't hang your shingle out and start charging people. Don't do that.
Right. I think that's the hardest part also when people don't know. And it's like, I hate to say it this way, but I had hours of reading tarot in bars after comedy shows before I started out for like $20 an hour. So people's expectations were low, but it's a hard thing to decide, when am I ready and when do I charge and how much do I charge kind of deal.
It is. And, I mean, I would say this is where really having really good mentors, circles, and teachers to go to be like you, and to ask them, like, I really feel like I want to read for the public now. What do I need to be aware at the level that I'm at? And maybe it's like, hey, read for the public, but let's make sure you only have so many readings during the day so you can, still work on your energy management. Or let's make sure, put it in a way that's manageable for you and for the people that are coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have been known as a teacher to be like, yeah, no, you are not ready for the public. It's rough out there.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, you think everybody's going to be like sunshine and rainbows and loving this, but when you get somebody who's in, distress because their loved one might be going to prison because they got wrongfully convicted of something, and they need to have you tell them what's going to happen and what's going to go on, shit gets real.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that in mediumship, that would be, in tarot, there's a little different navigation, but yeah, I think that same thing, because especially with mediumship, people have lost people. So it's like, it's not, it's a huge deal.
It is a very huge deal. And I do, I hammer that into a lot of my mediumship students. I'll tell you a story that a mentor of mine told me. Her name was Janet Nohavec. And I learned from her at Arthur Finley's sister school is called The Journey Within here in the United States. And she started that, and she was a retired Roman Catholic nun or Catholic nun. One of the two. Anyway. And she would, and I believe the story's in her book as well. But she would tell us, she said, I'm going to tell you a story. This is not meant to scare you. This is meant to show you how serious our work is. As she said, I had a woman come into my office one day, and she just wanted a 30-minute reading. And she came in very distressed. And she said, and I brought through some loved ones, and, the reading was about to wrap up. And I'm paraphrasing the story because I can't remember it line for line.
Mm-hmm.
But she was like, as I was finishing up the reading, she said, I mentioned that, hey, I have these children here as well, that want to speak with you. And she said, I went on to bring these children through and, give messages and all of that. And when the reading wrapped up, the woman said, yeah, she said, those were my kids and they died tragically. And she said, I'd planned to kill myself today if I didn't hear from them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So
and she didn't say that to scare us that, oh my God, we better be so good that we prevent somebody else from doing action. But it meant like, look, people come to us in dire straits. People come to us we are the last house on the left for them sometimes. And we just have to be able to recognize that, right? And take what we do seriously and honor that and understand that. We can't control everybody's behavior. That's not what I'm saying at all. Can't control what somebody does after they leave us, but take our jobs, our service, the spirit very, very seriously, because people, take us very seriously sometimes.
Right, right. And now I didn't even get to ask you this, but tell us really quick, where can we sign up for your classes, or when are your classes? What's happening?
Yes, let's put some levity into that, because that went down, girl. That went.
I know, but you know what? I didn't know you taught classes. All right, tell everyone where they can find you and what's happening, and hit me.
Yeah, you guys can. You can find me on the Double T with Karen, the Ticker Talk. Of course. You can do that. And then on my website, Tracy St. Croi, medium.com. I have on there very clearly about psychic development, mediumship development classes. All of that can be found on there. I have links. I have a lot of links. Like, I'm easy to find, folks.
Great. Okay. And hopefully when this comes out, tell them if they go there to your website, they can find the roadshow.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a link directly to that on that website. That's like a whole other type of link that you can find my podcast anywhere you find like Karen's podcast at as well. I have a separate site for the podcast, but we're going to be blending them. We're figuring out how to blend the two.
You know what? And you've just reminded me, by the time this comes out, that's a great idea. I'm getting a new website. And if you own a bar or a venue and you would like to book psychic stand-up, I have a new way to get a hold of me, and maybe I'm coming through your town and we could do it. How's that?
She's absolutely fabulous, y'all.
Tracy, and I hope I'll be in Austin hanging out with you someday.
Yes, be in Austin. Book this woman, for God's sake.
That's right. All right, everybody. Tracy's website is in the show notes. Thank you, Tracy. You're the best.
Yes, thank you, Karen.
All right, and thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. And you guys, I'll see the rest of you soon. Maybe on the Patreon, maybe in person, maybe on the other side. Come visit me in the etheric.
Paranormal Karen, she's a spooky kind of queen. Paranormal Karen, she's an angel without wings. Comedian, ghost hunter, conscious exploring. She's a funny gal and a real woo pal. She's Paranormal Karen.